In this recap, we trace the events of the 2013 Boston Marathon, the planning, the attack, and the 5-day manhunt that followed. It's a story of terror, but also one of incredible resilience. Viewer discretion is advised. I remember the day the world watched Boston hold its breath. For so many, it's a day that's impossible to forget. April 15th, 2013. Marathon Monday, a civic holiday in Massachusetts, a day of celebration. The air was filled with the sounds of cheering, of exhaustion and triumph. A crisp, celebratory afternoon that turned in an instant to chaos. But this story doesn't begin at the finish line. Before that day, an idea hardened into intent. For brothers Tamerlan and Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, grievances, both real and perceived, festered. Online propaganda, including Al-Qaeda's Inspire magazine, provided a deadly blueprint. Searches for meaning twisted into searches for how others had harmed. Their radicalization led them to a simple, horrifying shopping list. They bought consumer-grade fireworks, not for celebration, but to harvest the explosive powder inside. They purchased 2 ordinary pressure cookers, common items bought in plain sight, destined for an uncommon purpose. Inside, along with the powder, they would pack nails, ball bearings, and other shrapnel to maximize the carnage. They walked Boylston Street days before the race, not as spectators, but as predators. They studied the flow of the crowds, the placement of security cameras, and the best locations to inflict maximum damage. On the morning of the marathon, the packs were readied. They rode into the city on public transport, blending in with thousands of others. Then, near the finish line, they moved apart in the crowd, each with a heavy burden. At 2:49 p.m., the first of 2 improvised explosive devices detonated near the finish line on Boylston Street. 12 seconds later, a second blast ripped through the crowd a block away. Celebration turned to terror. Crowds scattered in confusion and fear. But as many ran away, first responders and countless civilians ran toward the smoke. A city famous for its grit found itself tested in the most profound way imaginable. In the immediate aftermath, 3 people were killed, including an 8-year-old boy. Hundreds were injured, many catastrophically. By evening, Boston's hospitals were in full surge mode, performing life-saving surgeries and treating wounds of a kind they had only trained for. The next days became a frantic puzzle of images, cell phone videos, and eyewitness accounts. An entire city became a crime scene. On April 18th, after painstakingly reviewing hours of footage, authorities released photographs of 2 suspects, known only as Suspect 1 and Suspect 2. The manhunt was now public. That night, the suspects resurfaced. They ambushed and killed MIT police officer Sean Collier in his patrol car. A carjacking minutes later triggered a desperate police chase toward the suburb of Watertown. Past midnight, on a quiet residential street, a firefight erupted. The brothers threw more explosives at the officers. In the chaos, the older suspect, Tamerlan Tsarnaev, was tackled by police, then run over by his escaping brother. He was mortally wounded. The younger brother, Dzhokhar, abandoned the stolen car and fled on foot, disappearing into the night. By dawn, Boston and its surrounding towns were under an unprecedented shelter-in-place advisory. An entire metropolitan area was on lockdown. Streets were silent. Helicopters circled overhead. 1 million doors were locked. The manhunt ended on the evening of April 19th. After the lockdown was lifted, a Watertown homeowner went outside and noticed blood on the winter cover of a boat in his yard. He looked inside and saw the wounded suspect. After a tense standoff with the boat surrounded, police took Dzhokhar into custody. In court, he was found guilty on all 30 federal counts against him. A death sentence followed. Years later, after a series of legal appeals, that sentence was reinstated by the Supreme Court. But the story is larger than the crime, or the criminals. The response from law enforcement, medical personnel, and ordinary citizens was immediate, coordinated, and profoundly brave. Boston Strong wasn't just a slogan printed on a t-shirt. It was a posture, a city-wide refusal to be defined by fear. The marathon returned the very next year. Thousands ran, and the city finished what terror tried to interrupt. From the chaos rose care, resolve, and a solemn memory. Boston prepared, responded, and healed. A lasting testament that awareness, compassion, and community are the things that truly save lives. We carry that forward,